Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another exciting, hopefully, Minecraft discussion today. Remember, the foundation is becoming the boss of your brain. Yay. So my name is Kimberly Quinn, and I'm excited to be here today. You're probably saying, okay, it's the summer. Why is she in a fleece? Well, because we are in northern Vermont, as I think most of you know, and we live closer to Santa than most people. So what I would, it's just one of those, it's June and it's, it's chilly, but it's gorgeous, rainy and beautiful. So I'd like to start out by saying this is going to be a conversation today on making peace with your home, though today the kitchen specifically, and I think that's because the kitchen is definitely the centerpiece of our house, and the kitchen and the living room are kind of one like open area. But no matter what, I also want to make a disclaimer because what's behind me is very new. This has only been a year and long time waiting. We've been in this house since 2001, and it was like a galley, like in a ship, with just crappy plastic countertops, or the plastic crappy drawers are falling out. And also, I want to even take that disclaimer further because the idea is not that it's about space. It is not about space. We're talking about actually feng shuiing and decluttering the head. But I really, for the most part, always had a very tight space. Newly married, we were in an apartment in Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia. Then a condo, nice, also not spacious, but nice view, but very tiny. And then our first house here in Vermont was actually a tiny house, bigger kitchen. I missed that kitchen and that teeny tiny space we could hardly fit in, the space, like living space wise. But I was like, oh my God, my kitchen. We moved to a bigger house, itty bitty galley, with just crappy low end stuff was put in. So anyway, the idea is that it's not about space at all. And so it's about clutter on the outside causes clutter on the inside. And that's very important to realize, and that's also the truth in the reverse. When we're feeling cluttered on the inside, we often create clutter on the outside. So we'll get to different spaces later, maybe in different episodes. But for right now, I want to start with the kitchen. And here's the thing, and this is what has helped me. And because I also really enjoy cooking, so it might not be the same for you, but still the order thing. So we're talking about order, organization, which anybody who knows me will probably chuckle at with my executive functioning issues, unless you're in my immediate family, because they know I am just like the military with the kitchen, and I'm so laid back in every other way. I'm like, get your stuff out of my kitchen. I don't even want a Q-tip in it. It doesn't belong there. And define whatever order means to you, regardless of the size of your kitchen, is so important. And so the other things, okay, so I think I jotted down 5 little notes for myself straight from here. So like one piece at a time. I did the fridge recently. So when you do the fridge, empty the whole thing out. And again, we're going to get into different rooms later with what that means. But when you take it out, so there's absolutely nothing in there, naked fridge, then to really mindfully, as John Kabat-Zinn would say, be in the moment with everything you've got as if your life depended on it. It's also the monk, I cannot pronounce his name correctly. But anyway, he wrote a great book on mindfulness, doing everything as if it were the most important thing in your life, or at least the most important thing in that moment. So you take out everything out of the fridge. That could also be a junk drawer, because we're going to get into junk drawers also. But take also out of the cupboards and get rid of all the expired stuff. But the whole point is to take it out at once and put it in the living room, put it on the floor away from you, whatever, till that space is 100% spotless, whether it's scoured like with Comet or Ajax because it's the fridge, or whether it's cabinets and you're polishing or whatever. Everything comes out and you only put back what you need, what's not expired, what you're actually going to use, all right? So that's the first thing. And then back to the second one is John Kabat-Zinn and also the monk I can't remember. Again, is to do as if your life depended on it. So thinking of a funny story, because our dishwasher broke probably 10 or more years ago, and it took us probably maybe 15 years ago. The kids were all home and in those ages of like 8 to 15 kind of thing. And we ended up not replacing it for like another 8 years. And my husband and I realized, you know what? When it was time to do the dishes, the kids were like out of there, right? And I know for myself, I was washing the dishes in complete peace with the warm water and just really being mindful with it. And I'm like, wow. And then my husband did the same thing. And I asked him, I'm like, is it just me? because we're going to kind of set, because kids always had their tasks, I don't mean that, but do we want to really reel them into the dishes? I don't know, because and also when sometimes we would be in there together and having a nice talk, and so the point is, embrace that. It's going to sound nuts to say, enjoy cleaning your fridge, and that's it. If you're going to be cleaning the fridge, enjoy it. Those are your life minutes. Spend them wisely. Same thing with the warm water in the dishes. Do it as if your life depended on it in that moment. And then the third thing I had, this is all coming out of me, is to clear, and maybe this is just me, I don't know, but I don't think so, because I read lots of things about feng shui in all different ways. And so the feng shui principles also apply to countertops. And I didn't just do this for the video. I'm like I said, I'm like a drill sergeant with the stuff on the counter. Get the book off, get your purse off of there. Nah. Because we want the counter to be inviting. And the principles of feng shui, they talk about, not that I'm an expert on feng shui, but I do read some things. The idea is to have any room in the house, well, the house in general, but any breaking that down into rooms, we want the room to be inviting. So in other words, we want to be in there. So if just like a desk or an office space or a master bedroom or a study or a bathroom or a foyer, whatever area, you want to be in there. So especially for me, loving to cook, if the counter's got stuff on, I gotta move stuff over, and I'm just let's say just dicing, splicing to make a regular tossed salad with all the fresh summer veggies. If I'm confined to a space like this, because there's like crap and useless things all over the counter, that is not an enjoyable cooking experience, even if I'm just making a salad or putting together a sandwich. So we should have, space. They talk about the working triangle, and obviously in limited kitchens, and I've had that. I don't think I've ever had a working triangle till, now, and I'm 57. Like, this is so new. What's the sexy kitchen behind me? 1 year. We've been in this house since 2001. So I've done this in my tiny little kitchens forever. And the smaller they are, the more you got to get rid of. The crock pot, that's this hard to wash thing. And if it's old because of that cord that just dangles and like you never really washed it well and it's ancient, get rid of it. And there's like coffee machines on countertops. There are ways to space save and put that in a sliding drawer. You can also create space to have the stuff that's sort of the everyday staples on top of the counter, to take them off, especially if you have limited space. Very important to have counter space, because you want to be in there, and if you do like to cook like I do, you want to cook on your counters, dancing around in your apron, maybe just your apron. I mean, you go, girl, or guy, or anybody in between. I'm constantly doing kitchen karaoke, singing with my microphones right behind me, and you want to be able to move and do it. Clear counter space, okay, and then create a small shelf. If you're in a tiny little kitchen, again, I did it in an apartment. I did it in a little tiny condo. I think that condo was 800 something square feet, 1,000 at the most, itty bitty. You can make a little counter with something that's special to you. So I don't know if you can see it in there or not. There you go. I have a little tiny olive oil shelf over there because I'm a fan of olive oil. It's also okay to have a little tiny wine rack. It doesn't have to be huge if you're into wine. I'll just move you over here like that. See the wine rack? Okay. I also have a bigger one, honestly, because you never know. It could be Armageddon, Blizzard, you want to have backup wine. But the point is, they also make little ones up for a counter, little tiny wine racks if you're into wine or whatever's your thing. If you're into spices, little tiny spice rack. And here's the thing. I would say that the olive oil shelf is actually kind of showcased for me. It's simple. I don't have more bottles up there than I would want because they're pretty. They're pretty to look at. And anything I don't use gets tossed. And then the last one, this can be hard for some people, is get rid of knickknacks. Just get rid of, they hurt my head, they hurt everybody's head. Get rid of knickknacks. And if you're a knickknack person, fine, but they probably just don't belong in the kitchen, unless you don't care about cooking, in which case, I guess, whatever. And minimize the magnets, too. I went through a thing where I just got rid of all of them, and we had a collection from going across country, like literally. Our oldest son had just got married this past weekend, and he's 30, was in 8th grade, that should tell you. We collected, it was my husband, he's the opposite with the pack rat thing. He got magnets from everywhere on the way to the Grand Canyon. We had to stop at the world's biggest ball of string to look at that. Magnets for every cave, everything. I finally just went whoosh off the fridge, put them in a little box, said, do something with these, they're not going to be in my sexy kitchen. That's it, done. So you just minimize the eye clutter because you're able to breathe better. metaphorically speaking. And then once you do these 5 things, okay, which is empty the fridge, get rid of the counter crap stuff, clean the fridge, clean the counters, clean the floor, do the dishes as if that moment, that was all you had to do in that moment. Remember the counter space thing, small shelf for olive oil or spices or whatever is your thing. Just recapping. Rid your kitchen of knickknacks, and when you do all of this, this then has you in a spot. This has you in a spot to try something brand new. I honestly haven't used a recipe in like a millennium. Look something up on the internet, or just try something, or invite a friend over to cook because they know, and from a different country, different culture, and just fly by your ass with it. Set the table differently. Take out Aunt Tessie's wedding china that you're collecting dust in the cabinet. That's a whole episode for another time because you should be doing that anyway. You never know when, they say you never know when your last, this is your last day. Well, one day you'll be right, you know what I'm saying? So use the china, take that out, light a candle, and enjoy your new spacious kitchen, dancing around to maybe just your apron and a spatula, and make a fabulous new dish. So here, that's it. Make peace with your home, starting with the kitchen, by creating a sense of order and lots of dancing, singing, and cooking space. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from my kitchen in northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.